Well, in Bloomington, the initial phase of construction on the 7-line protected bike path between Woodlawn and Indiana Avenues is finished. Holden Abshur has this report.
Bike lanes on 7th Street used to be painted on each side of the road. Cars could avoid large oncoming vehicles by swerving into the bike lane. The new 7-line path solves this issue by combining the bike lanes and separating bicycles from traffic with a physical barrier. The new traffic lanes now measure 20 feet wide from curb to curb. Neil Copper is a senior project engineer for the city of Bloomington and says there are benefits to restricting lanes.
There's also a desire generally to have narrower lanes for things like speed limit compliance and for reducing pedestrian crossing distances. So there's a lot of safety benefits from having narrower lanes, as long as the vehicles you need do still fit.
Copper says large vehicles like buses will still fit on the road.
The design actually assumes that a bus will actually pull in, swing wide into the opposite lane and then go into their lane.
Technically, the redesigned 7th Street has two 10-foot wide lanes because double yellow lines are a single marking. Official measurements begin at the midpoint between them. Removing the width of the center lines, each lane is 9.5 feet wide. The Indiana Department of Transportation requires traffic lanes to be between 9 and 12 feet wide in order to accommodate the maximum vehicle width of 8.5 feet. However, this measurement excludes rearview mirrors. A Bloomington Transit bus is just over 8 feet wide at 99 inches. But with the added mirror hanging off the side, it adds another 13 inches to the bus. The mirror on the opposite side extends towards the sidewalk and does not pose a threat to the other lane. The new lanes are each just under 114 inches wide, meaning a bus will have just 1 inch of wiggle room between the curb and the yellow lines. It also means that passing buses will have just 14 inches between them. Bloomington Transit General Manager Lou May says 7th Street is a major corridor connecting downtown to the Indiana University campus. On a normal school day, 175 buses carry more than 3,000 passengers. He says the redesign of the corridor and removal of on-street parking benefits buses.
A lot of times cars would not be parked all the way against the curb. In fact, sometimes if somebody did a bad parking job, they might be a foot or two away from the curb, and the travel lanes were already 10 feet wide.
7-line construction is not creating more room for buses to drive, but it is redrawing more consistent boundaries. Instead of the threat of parked cars, buses are now confined between the curb and oncoming traffic.
There are going to be times, though, when a bus is encountering oncoming traffic in the opposite lane. It could be another bus or it could be a truck, really wide vehicle like that. They're going to have to travel slower.
In terms of other large vehicles, Bloomington Deputy Fire Chief Jamie Washell says the road is large enough for a standard fire engine, which measures 8 feet 4 inches wide. However, turning into the lane is another issue. Washell says drivers should be cautious and stop at designated lines, especially on narrow roads.
That big, bold white line is actually measured for that oncoming big truck. Some people go past that, and what that does is it essentially bottlenecks us.
For Indiana News Desk, I'm Holden Abshur.